This is TWiT.
Paula is next in Laguna Hills, California. Hi, Paula. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Paula.
I love your show. Thank you so much for having it. I've never called before, but I always, whenever I'm out tootling around in California, because, we have to drive everywhere.
That's right.
I absolutely always are listening to you on a Saturday morning.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So my question is, I just came out of the 19th century into the 21st.
Welcome. It's a lovely century. I think you'll enjoy it.
I bought a Galaxy S3.
All right.
And, I'm kind of old school. I appreciate my privacy. I don't want people snooping around in my business. And at the same time, I want to enjoy all of the things that all of my friends are enjoying with apps and all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So the first app I downloaded, or I wanted to download, was Skype. And then I saw all of the permissions that you give it. And it's like you're basically saying, you give permission to Skype to just own everything about your phone. They can change things. They can delete things. They can...
It's very scary, isn't it? Now, one of the really nice things about Android is that you do see what permissions the application requires. And you do get to say yes or no. You can't, unfortunately, say, well, do this, but you can't do that. It's either yes or no to the application. Now, the thing, it is a little scary, and Apple chooses not to show people that and just says, trust us. And, but it's the same, because in order for the application to do what it needs to do, it needs to be able to do those things. Will it do nefarious things with those? Well, probably not. But it does have to say, look, I need access to your contacts. Look, I need access to your phone storage. I need access to your telephone. And by the time you get through, it looks like it's got full access to everything. That doesn't mean that they're going to copy it all and save it. It just means that they need, in order to operate, they need these permissions. And it's partly the fault of the operating system that it doesn't give you more granular permissions. Now,
well, I kind of got that, but then I'm wondering, it's interesting that they could also say, well, you can opt out of this or this or this, but they don't give you anything. It's either you take it or you don't.
It's not set up to do that, and that's unfortunate. It would be nice, but you might be shocked that when you say no, you can't look at the storage, that the program doesn't work at all. So that's the reason they don't give you granular options. And I should point out, there have been cases where an application does stuff that the people who designed it think is reasonable, but you may not. For instance, there are applications, Path was one of them, where it would download a copy of your contacts and store it, save it. Whenever an application, for instance, asks you, do you want us to let you know when one of your friends starts using this tool, and you say yes to that, think about it. The only way they'd know that is by keeping a copy of your contacts on their server, and every time somebody joins saying, well, is this person a friend of Paula's? Is this person a friend of Paula's? You may not like that, and if you don't, then you should be, not allow that. You shouldn't give permissions to do that. It certainly was a big deal when people figured out that Path was doing that.
So should I feel pretty safe that things that are on the Google App Store, that they've been vetted, that they aren't malicious? I mean, should I feel pretty comfortable with that?
I mean, Apple's probably taking more caution than Google is, but not much more. There's just too many applications. There's thousands every day they have to go through. So all an App Store is kind of assuring you is that the application isn't known to be malicious, and if it's discovered that it's malicious, it will be taken off your phone.
Right.
So, the thing to keep in mind with a smartphone is it is the perfect spy device.
Right.
When the girl who's terrified because she's being chased by the bad guys gets in the car with Jason Bourne, what is the first thing Jason Bourne does? He takes her smartphone and he throws it out the window.
Oh, right.
Right? Because that's how they're finding her.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God.
Now, that's the movies, but we've learned kind of that this may not be so far-fetched.
Yeah, well, I've kind of have decided that I have to kind of give up all of that stuff.
Well, and this is a big, big conversation that we all need to have. No, I don't think you do, and I don't think you should. I agree, and I believe we have a right to privacy. And so the key is to make informed choices, Paula, and to understand what you're giving up and when and what you're getting in return. For instance, Facebook's a really good example. When you go on Facebook, when you go on Facebook, you give it everything, right? You give it where you go, what you do, who you know, what you went to school, where you're giving it everything. Now, the trade-off is I get Facebook. I get friends can find me. I can stay in touch with family members. And it's really important to have this kind of as an explicit conversation in your head. I think a lot of people don't join Facebook because they understand that. Now, is Facebook doing anything nefarious with that? No. Probably what Facebook is doing is giving it to advertisers, and not even like, hey, here's what Paula likes, but here's 50,000 of our users who are really interested in buying chain link fences, and then putting an ad for chain link fences on your Facebook. It's more like that. That doesn't bother me. It might bother you. If it does, you shouldn't use Facebook. Right. Now, there's a larger question. Well, is Facebook giving information to the government? Now, now, I don't think our government is malicious. I really don't. But there's always the chance that there could either be bad actors within government or that in years to come, governments could become malicious. They have done that in the past. Right. And that's, to me, much more of a concern. If an advertiser gets my name, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to get ads. Right. If the government gets your name and decides they don't like you and they happen to be kind of, malicious, what's the worst that can happen?
Right, and we never know when that government will change. So given as much power as we give it, we're saying we hope that the bad apples stay out.
And this is why President Obama had a press conference yesterday, and he finally addressed this issue and said, look, I understand that, he said, you need to understand that the police, the NSA, the FBI, these are patriots who are trying to protect us from bad guys. Right. And they're collecting this information. We have and he said this, and this is very important to listen to this phrase, an unprecedented ability to gather this information.
Yeah, I know.
For the first time ever, the feds and law enforcement locally can find out everything about you, where you are, what you're doing. It's an amazing amount of information. And in the right hands, it could mean the end of crime. Right. Because a criminal will have a very difficult time preying on people secretly. So there's a definite positive side to this in the right hands. But we've seen time and time again, you don't have to go back in history very far. J. Edgar Hoover was collecting information about Martin Luther King. And he was the director of the FBI. So it's not unheard of. And so I think it's very important. And by the way, the president also acknowledged, rightly, civil libertarians and privacy advocates. He said, I know they're patriots too, and they want our nation to live up to its highest standards. One of those standards is the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, which guarantees you against illegal search and seizure. And it is deemed by many, I myself included, that this kind of surveillance is illegal search. Right. It needs to be carefully overseen by Congress, by courts. It cannot be done in secret, and yet it is being done in secret. Right. And if you're carrying a cell phone, okay, the best case scenario, you're giving advertisers information about where you are, what you do, what you like. Worst case scenario is you're giving bad actors in a federal government information. And you know what? If you were in an area where there are drone strikes, I would not carry a cell phone. Right? Because that's just saying, here I am, I'm right here. This right here. I'm right here. And so I think this is a very important conversation for all of us to have, whatever political stripe. I think we deserve privacy. It is harder and harder to maintain it because we want some of the benefits that giving up our privacy gain us.